For roughly 400 years, the biblical narrative goes quiet. It's a period often skipped over, a blank page in many people's understanding of biblical history. But make no mistake, this era was silent in its impact. It was a time of intense political upheaval, dramatic cultural shifts, and profound religious transformation that utterly shaped the world. Without understanding these 400 silent years, much of the New Testament's context, the conflicts Jesus faced, and even the very language he spoke, remain a mystery. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this hidden history. We'll explore the major empires that rose and fell, the key events that unfolded, and the crucial religious developments that forged the very landscape of first-century Judea. By the end of this video, you'll see why these 400 years were not silent at all, but a period of powerful preparation for the Messiah's arrival. Before we embark on this historical journey, if you're ready to unlock new layers of biblical understanding, please hit that like button, share this video, and make sure you're subscribed to Bible Story Spot for more deep dives into God's Word. So, what exactly are these 400 silent years? Roughly spanning from 430 BCE, after the prophecies of Malachi and the rebuilding efforts following the Babylonian exile, to around 4 BCE with the birth of Jesus. This period is often termed silent because, from a traditional Protestant Christian perspective, there were no new books added to the Old Testament canon during this time, and no recognized prophets directly speaking God's inspired word that would be included in the Bible. However, historical records, archaeological discoveries, and a body of Jewish literature known as the Apocrypha and Pseudepigrapha tell us that Judea was anything but quiet. There was vibrant religious and political activity that would lay the groundwork for the New Testament world. After the time of Malachi, the Jewish people remained under the benevolent rule of the Persian Empire. This was a relatively stable period, allowing them to rebuild the temple and their society as we read in Ezra and Nehemiah. But this tranquility wouldn't last. Around 331 BCE, a whirlwind swept across the known world, Alexander the Great of Macedon. His rapid conquests brought Judea under Greek, Hellenistic rule. This wasn't just a change of overlords, it was a profound cultural revolution known as Hellenization. Greek language, philosophy, architecture, and customs began to permeate every aspect of life. Many Jews, especially the elite, adopted Greek ways, even taking Greek names. This era even led to a crucial biblical development: the translation of the Hebrew Old Testament into Greek, known as the Septuagint, or LXX. This translation became vital for Jews living outside of Judea, who no longer spoke Hebrew, and later it became the Bible for the early Christian church. After Alexander's death, his vast empire was divided among his generals, leading to 2 major dynasties controlling Judea: the Ptolemies from Egypt and the Seleucids from Syria. For about a century, Judea was a prize fought over by these 2 Hellenistic powers. The Seleucid period brought immense suffering, particularly under Antiochus IV Epiphanes, who reigned from 175 to 164 BCE. Antiochus was obsessed with imposing Greek culture and religion. He famously desecrated the Jewish temple in Jerusalem, erecting an altar to Zeus and sacrificing pigs on it, an event prophesied in Daniel as the Abomination of Desolation. He outlawed Jewish practices like circumcision and Sabbath observance, punishing those who resisted with death. This persecution ignited the famous Maccabean Revolt around 167 BCE, led by the Maccabee family, particularly Judah Maccabeus. Against all odds, this small band of Jewish rebels fought back, driving out the Seleucids and rededicating the temple. This miraculous victory is still celebrated today during the Jewish festival of Hanukkah. The Maccabees then established the Hasmonean Dynasty, which gave the Jews a century of their own independent rule, the last they would have until the modern state of Israel. However, Jewish independence was short-lived. In 63 BCE, the mighty Roman Empire arrived, led by General Pompey, who conquered Jerusalem. Judea eventually became a Roman province, ruled by client kings like Herod the Great, infamous for his paranoia and cruelty, but also for his massive building projects, including the expansion of the Second Temple. It was into this Roman-occupied, politically tense, and religiously diverse Judea that Jesus of Nazareth was born. Beyond the shifts in imperial power, the 400 silent years also saw profound cultural and religious transformations that redefined Jewish life and set the stage for Jesus' ministry and the early church. Perhaps the most significant development was the rise of the synagogue. During the Babylonian exile, far from the temple in Jerusalem, Jews began gathering locally for prayer, study, and community. This practice flourished during the silent years, making the synagogue a central institution for Jewish life wherever Jews lived. It became the primary place where the scriptures were read and taught, and it would later serve as a crucial launching pad for early Christian evangelism by figures like Paul. This period also witnessed the emergence of distinct Jewish sects, each with their own interpretations of the law and their hopes for the Messiah. The Pharisees, known for their strict adherence to both the written law and an extensive oral tradition, they were popular with the common people and sought to make holiness accessible in everyday life. Jesus often confronted them over their legalistic interpretations and hypocrisy. The Sadducees, an aristocratic priestly class, they largely controlled the temple and collaborated with the Roman authorities. They only accepted the written Torah, first 5 books, and rejected concepts like the resurrection of the dead, angels, and spirits. The Essenes, a more ascetic and separatist group, they often withdrew from society, lived in communes, and meticulously followed purity laws. The Dead Sea Scrolls, found at Qumran, are believed to be their writings, offering invaluable insight into Jewish thought during this period. The Zealots, a fiercely nationalistic and anti-Roman group, they believed only God was their ruler and advocated for armed rebellion against the Roman occupation. These transformations fueled a heightened and diverse messianic expectation. With foreign rule and oppression, many Jews yearned for a political or military Messiah who would deliver them from Roman tyranny and restore Israel's glory. This specific expectation often clashed with Jesus' understanding of his own spiritual and sacrificial messiahship. The challenges of the era also contributed to the rise of apocalyptic literature, which often presented visions of a dramatic divine intervention to bring about a new age. So, how do all these pieces connect to the New Testament? The 400 silent years directly set the stage. The Roman occupation defined the political landscape, leading to the census that brought Mary and Joseph to Bethlehem, the presence of Roman governors like Pilate, and the specific form of execution by crucifixion. The diverse Jewish sects created the complex religious environment in which Jesus taught. His debates with the Pharisees and Sadducees, and his interactions with tax collectors or zealots become much clearer when you understand their backgrounds. The widespread use of Koine Greek, facilitated by Hellenization and the Septuagint, was critical for the rapid spread of the gospel message across the Roman Empire. The established synagogue network provided ready-made communities for the apostles to preach the good news in every city they visited. The intense, often misguided messianic expectation meant that while many eagerly awaited a Messiah, they largely misunderstood Jesus' spiritual and suffering role, expecting a conquering king instead. The 400 silent years were anything but silent. They were a crucible of historical, cultural, and religious development that forged the very world Jesus entered. Understanding this hidden history doesn't just fill in a blank page, it illuminates the entire narrative of the New Testament, giving context to the teachings, conflicts, and ultimate triumph of Jesus Christ. It reminds us that even when God seems silent, He is always at work, preparing the way, shaping events, and meticulously setting the stage for His divine plan to unfold. What insights did you gain from this journey through the silent years? Did any of these historical connections surprise you? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. If this has opened your eyes to new biblical understanding, please take a moment to like this video, share it with others who might benefit, and subscribe to Bible Story Spot for more explorations into God's Word.